Welcome at the Masters of the Code channel. In today's video, I will show you how to configure Jitsi Meet video conferencing software. So, as usual, let's start from example here. So, under my virtual DSM, I've already started 4 containers for Jitsi, as you can see here. And I've also started Racket Chat. The configuration I've already showed you in my previous video. And for that example, I will use Racket Chat combined with Jitsi Meet. So here, as you can see, I'm logged in as administrator to the Racket Chat, and I'm logged in as test user here. You don't see it right now. I can show you. I'm already logged in as in previous video, also as test user here on my emulator. Let's start here some meeting. I will mute the audio here, and here you can also see the notification. And of course, because it's the emulator here, you have some random garbage instead of the image from the camera here. But you can also see the my main camera here, which works. So as you can see, we have garbage from the emulator and the image from the main camera. And also I can show you that when we see logs for the Jitsi GVB1 container, and I can use grep to look for pair phrase here, maybe we follow parameter. We can also see how the connections are being made. So you have to check that pair succeeded here, and you can also see when the connection is made within the LAN local network or when it's done from outside here. It's also good for debug purpose. Okay, so let's disconnect here. I will leave the emulator. I will need it later, and of course it's easier to me to show you that on the Android emulator, but for the real setup I use it on my phone, on my tablet and other devices also. And despite the Jitsi Meet application, you can also just go to the browser application and do the same, also for Android device. Okay, so we will start here from the clean setup. So I will stop Jitsi. Also, I will remove the configuration for Racket Chat. So I will remove that domain. So you have meet Jitsi here by default, and also default name for room prefix. You don't have that option checked, and also you don't have those credentials set. Okay, let's save it. So this is the default configuration, and it's disabled by default in the Racket Chat also. And right now I can also remove all those containers. So let's remove all containers, and I will also remove all images to start the clean setup. So we need to remove all images for Jitsi, all 4 images. So images are gone, and of course, like always, you have the package under that video, which allows you to get all you need to configure the whole stuff from the scratch. If you are interested in those topics, subscribe my channel as always, and remember to hit the bell icon also to get notified about my future videos. Like I said, I'm going to show you other interesting stuff in my future videos, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's get back to that example here. In my previous videos also I used that manage script, as you can see here, to manage my all applications, so containers and images. And the whole setup for Jitsi is located in that directory. It's a pretty simple setup. So inside that you have only that clean file for cleaning the previous versions of the Docker images. We have only containers list, all 4 containers here. I've already told you about those files in my previous videos, so you can check them also for that. And the most important file here is the create.sh file, which defines containers for the Jitsi application and the network. We've already used that network for Racket Chat also, so I'm not going to explain it one more time. And beside that, you have creation of all containers. So you have the configuration paths here mounted to proper directories inside containers, and also ports. So if you want to change it, you can do it here. You can also change the name of the network, of course, but you have to match it. So change it here and also in those create directives also. And important option, you have the env file here pointed to the same directory used for keeping other configuration options and used for mounting proper directories inside containers. That file is the most important file because it has the whole configuration for the application. I will show you it also later. So you have other containers set up also. You don't need to change those ports for other containers. You should only change those ports in case you have them used for some other processes. You should only change those 2 ports for the web container and maybe some ports used to detect IP address, external IP address. So one for UDP and one for TCP. And you have also that pool file, standard file, which will ensure that you use the latest images for application. I'm going to move the configuration for the application, like I said. So it's located here, and I will move it to some other directory like that one. So we will start from the fresh configuration also, and I'm going to create it right now. So let's log in to the DSM Web UI. And as always, I'm going to open 2 file station windows. So in the right one, I'm going to open the previous directory setup. So owner and permissions here. And in the left one, I'm going to create the new directory. So let's create the Jitsi directory here, and inside the directory we have to also create some other subdirectories, as you can see, for each container. But also we need to copy that Jitsi env file. So let's copy it here. Okay, and let's create the gcofo directory, gvb directory here, also prosody directory. I will tell you also later about those parts of the application a little more. Transcripts, so transcripts subdirectory, transcripts, okay, and also the web subdirectory. And inside those directories, inside the prosody, we need to create 2 subdirectories. So one is the config, and the other one is prosody plugins custom. So let's create it. Prosody plugins custom here. And also under the web, you need to create the config subdirectory and also let's encrypt subdirectory. So let's create let's encrypt subdirectory. In the newer versions, that let's encrypt directory is not needed anymore. So you can also skip that one and remove it from create.sh script. I've just left it there because in the previous version that directory kept the Let's Encrypt configuration, and right now it's kept under the config main directory. So when we have those subdirectories created, we can also set proper permissions. So I will check the permissions here. So I will need to go to the console and use chown command to change the owner. So it will be root user of that volume base config Jitsi directory, because I can do that from the web UI. So I can set the root user as the owner, and right now I can open also properties here. As you can see, we have proper owner right now, and for that part for the permissions, I can also set the proper permissions. So we should set docker tag group and set deny. You can also check my previous videos, especially the video about Nginx reverse proxy, when I told you a little more about those groups and other users and permissions used here. So I'm not going to talk about it once again. Also, we need to deny users access. Of course, those permissions are needed for the DSM, but for Linux you can also set permissions to deny all not needed users to enter that directory and subdirectories, and left only needed ones. Also, we need to add owner, because that's Jitsi Meet application uses more than one users in multiple containers. So we need to allow owner, because the owner application will change the ownership of the subdirectories later also. And we should put read for everyone. Of course, that access for everyone here, it doesn't mean that every user will be able to enter that directory, because it's being cut under the config directory, and because that Jitsi subdirectory is located inside the config directory, it won't get access for everyone, and the everyone in that case, it means everyone from those users that already have access to that directory and subdirectories. That is why it's correct. Let's set those permissions. So we have it set. Okay, and right now I can get back to the virtual DSM console, and let's see that Jitsi end file. So we have it here, Jitsi end file, and to be able to see only valid options, let's filter it. So I will remove empty lines here, and I will also remove the lines which starts from the hash, so commented one lines, and then we can see only valid options that are being applied to those containers, because it works like that. While containers are being created, you have those init scripts, and those scripts will put configuration based on the end file, and you of course can modify that configuration also, but you don't have to prepare the whole file. So it's much easier to do it that way. So you only have to put some default options, and you have the whole environment ready. Of course, here you should put some more secure passwords for components. That is the first thing to change. You can also change the ports, but you should match it in the create.sh file. Time zone, public URL. Here you have the internal IP of the host, so it's the Docker host. In that case, you can also use the Let's Encrypt or disable it. In that case, the Let's Encrypt is bundled in the stock images, in the stock web image, so you don't have to handle it yourself, like in the Racket chat set up. So you have the all options in that file, like domain and email. And also you can enable out or disable authentication as you like. And the default authentication here is JWT, which is correctly set up to use it with Rocket Chat. So then Rocket Chat is able to create new room, but only the Rocket Chat. You are of course still allowed to connect to that room without authenticating, but because we have also allow empty here, if you would skip that one, you wouldn't allow any user without Rocket Chat Jitsi integration to connect to those rooms also. But as you can notice, those rooms have really complex and long names, and that means that you won't have any random users connected to them. So you can set it to allow guests, and that way you can also send somebody the room name, and that user can also connect without using Rocket Chat and just Jitsi. Of course, I will also show you, because if you will remove those JWT options here and put internal here as out type, and then register new user in prosody container, you are able to use Jitsi also as separate application without Rocket Chat. And also you are able to use two instances, so 8 containers, and configure one environment to work with Rocket Chat only, and the second environment as a standalone environment. But in that way you will need two subdomains, different ports, and of course 2 redirects for the Let's Encrypt. So as you can see, you have pretty standard options here, so you don't need to change those separate options. You should only change that one to match the port redirected on the router, because you need to redirect the port to the HTTPS main web service, and also the port for the harvester, and that way Jitsi can detect your external IP and do that automatically. So you need for that only that 10,000 port UDP, or in case it's not the same port, redirected, as we can see here. So that map port is the port opened from outside, so opened on your router. I will also show you that part later. And other than that, we don't have any other specific options. So right now I'm ready to start Jitsi in that configuration, and this is the configuration I've used previously, showing you it combined with Rocket Chat. Let's create the whole environment. So as you can see, it's being configured. Let's check images. So we have new images downloaded, as you can see, those 4 images, and also we have 4 containers started. You can also see logs, but I will also check we have that configuration made. Those subdirectories had been populated based on the Jitsi env file, like I said. When you have proper permissions, it should work properly. And here you have the certificates for Let's Encrypt also. So as you can see, it's being configured correctly. We can also check some logs here, and also GVB. Yeah. Right now we can get back to that file, and here we have the app ID. You can of course use the different app ID, but it should match the one configured in the Rocket Chat. So on the video conference tab, you have that Jitsi part, so I will switch it to enable, and right now I can also check the room prefix, masters of the code here. I will also check the option always open in new window, and that one in the newest Rocket Chat version is needed, because there is some bug and it won't work as a frame on the Rocket Chat side here. It it doesn't matter when you use Android app, but when you want to use the web UI, the browser version, it's for now you should check always open in new window, and also enable GWT out is needed. And I will need to put that application ID here and also the token here. So secret from that, and I think and also you need to put that address of Jitsi Meet here, and we can save changes. Then test 1 2 3 4 password for Racket Chat. One more time. Okay, so now it's being saved, and also we can refresh the Jitsi web page, and let's get back to that emulator, and maybe here I will also show you that pair stack in logs, so we will see when user is being connected and from what IP address and some more details also. So let's start the new conference here on the Racket Chat, and I will click the notification on the Android here. There is of course a little lag because it's the emulator, but other than that it works like expected, as you can see. And also let's disconnect from here, but I will leave it here opened, and here is the room name and whole address for Jitsi also. So let's send that to the test user. Okay, and I have copied it to the clipboard, and let's start from, for example, and I will put that address here. Okay, so we will have a choice to use the application, but I want to use the browser. So of course I will need to allow permissions to use video, camera, and also the audio. And it should also connect properly. So let's switch to that Jitsi here, and of course, as you can see, it works. We have the camera image from my laptop inside the emulator, and vice versa. Of course, we have that junk from the emulator because it's emulated camera, but as you can see, it works. So it means you can even send the room name for somebody that only use Jitsi, not combined with Racket Chat, and it also will work correctly. Okay, so I will disconnect here. Let's disconnect, and I will I will need to close the Chrome here because it's slow, but it's expected on the emulator. Also you can see that log which shows you the connections as they're being made. I can change that out option to show you the standalone setup. Beneath the video in the package, I will just give you two separate directories with separate files for standalone setup and for the Racket Chat setup, and even you don't need to clean the whole configuration after the change to the Jitsi and file. You just need to recreate containers and restart the application, and we will do that right now. Internal out, and we don't need that one here. Okay, create rerun Jitsi. You have four parts of the application, as you can see here. Web part is responsible for supplying web UI using engines. Prosody is the part used to keep and manage passwords and users inside the application. GVB is the bridge for connecting different streams, video and audio, and GCOFO is responsible for, let's take a look at those logs. GCOFO is responsible for checking how the users can connect to the applications and connect to each other. Of course, I've simplified it a little. You can also read about those components. And right now we also going to connect exec.ti to that Jitsi prosody one container. And configuration is located under config, conf.d, and you have the main configuration file here, but also in the data you have users and passwords, and here you have domain name as the directory, so you can list already pre-configured users. So for example, you have focus user at out.meet.jitsi domain, and you can check inside how it's configured, because that prosody ctl command doesn't give you option for listing users, but instead, of course, you need to specify config location. So we have it here. It allows us to, for example, add new user, and let's add the masters of the code at meet jitsi domain user test 1234 password, and that is the user that is allowed to create new rooms. In that case, also it would be proper to also put password for those rooms and other stuff. And it's the user useful when you use internal authentication instead of tokens out, because when you use the tokens, you are not able to use users. So there is no point to create that user when you want to integrate with Racket Chat. I have that user created, containers started. Let's refresh the Jitsi Meet page here, and let's, for example, create test_2 room. And when you have it protected by passwords, it's not that crucial to put some random room name. But if you want protect it by password later, all other users will be allowed to join it as guests. But of course, you will be notified if somebody connects also. So as you can see here, I need to put I'm the host here, and I need to put proper credentials. Masters of the code at meet jitsi domain test1234 password, and as you can see, it's enough to start. And for example, here we have that option. Let me find it. It's located here. So let's add also test password here. So right now not everyone can connect, but only users which supply test password. And I'm going to connect from the Jitsi Meet application on the Android emulator. I've already configured the whole domain here in the settings. So here in the settings, I have it configured. As you can see, domain name here with ports, and let's put test2 here, create join, allow for audio and video, and we will need to put test password here. As you can see, it works also as expected. So you have those two options to use Jitsi with Racket Chat or as standalone setup. And right now I'm going to show you that configuration you need to also do at your router or place when you have the HTTP server, your main HTTP server. It's the same stuff as I've already showed you in the Racket Chat video about Let's Encrypt configuration we need to do. Okay, so as you can see here, I have that file for Jitsi Meet. The order is important. Check the Racket Chat video to see what order is correct. And here you have standard file for Apache. Of course, like I said in the Racket Chat video, you can also configure it on the Nginx the same way. So you need to redirect the directory and the file in that directory to acknowledge the message from the Let's Encrypt on port 80 to the proper port for your Jitsi web container. So it's 15080 here. And that's it for Let's Encrypt. And of course you need to also redirect ports to the web, as I've already said, to the web application web container. So it's that one for HTTPS 15443. You don't need, if you don't want to use unencrypted traffic, that one. And also you need to redirect that one port. It's for the external IP detection. So it's that one and that one for UDP. But Jitsi works that way that for UDP it doesn't have that option right now to work correct with some other port. So either you are able to redirect 10,000 port, and if you can't redirect that specific port, it probably won't work, and in that case it will switch to the TCP harvester on that port. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified about my future videos. Thank you for watching. Bye.